Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
2 weeks. That's all she asked for. 2 weeks to find clarity, discover herself, and figure out what she really wanted from our relationship. When my girlfriend sat me down Thursday evening with that serious expression, I knew exactly what was coming. Women don't ask for breaks to save relationships. They ask for breaks to test drive replacements. But here's the thing about me. I don't panic or beg. I listen and process. And I make calculated decisions. So when she finished her rehearsed speech about needing space and time to reflect on who she was outside of us, I simply nodded and said, "Okay, 2 weeks it is." The look on her face was priceless. She'd obviously prepared for tears, for pleading, for some desperate attempt to change her mind. Instead, she got stone-cold agreement. I could see the wheels turning in her head, trying to figure out if this was some reverse psychology trick. It wasn't. I was already 3 steps ahead. "You seem surprised," I said, leaning back on the couch. "Isn't this what you wanted?" She stammered something about not expecting me to be so calm about it. Of course she didn't. In her mind, I was supposed to fall apart at the thought of losing her. What she didn't realize is that you can't lose something that's already checking out. The next morning, I watched her pack her bags with the efficiency of someone who'd been planning this for weeks. She had everything ready. Where she'd stay, what she'd take, even which overnight bag to use. This wasn't a spontaneous need for space. This was a calculated move. "I'll be staying at my cousin's place," she announced, not making eye contact. The one downtown. I knew exactly which cousin she meant. The one I'd never met in 5 years together. The one who conveniently lived in the trendy downtown district where all the upscale bars and restaurants were located. The same area where she'd been suggesting we go out more lately, like she was doing reconnaissance. "Makes sense," I replied, not looking up from my coffee. "Close to all the action downtown." She paused at that comment, bag in hand, searching my face for any sign of emotion. But I learned long ago that showing weakness to someone already looking for the exit only speeds up their departure. As she headed toward the door, she turned back one more time. "We should probably avoid contact during this time. You know, to really think things through without influence." There it was. The real agenda. She didn't want me calling, didn't want me checking in, didn't want any interruption to whatever she had planned for these 2 weeks. Most men would have protested, would have insisted on daily check-ins, or tried to negotiate terms. Not me. Absolutely, I agreed. Complete radio silence. 2 weeks starts now. She left looking more confused than relieved. I could practically see her texting someone before she even reached her car, probably saying something like, "He took it too well. Something's wrong." The apartment felt different immediately. Not empty. Liberated. I'd been walking on eggshells for months, trying to fix something that was already broken, trying to win back someone who'd mentally moved on. Now I could think clearly. That evening, I did what any rational man would do. I started documenting everything. Screenshots of our recent conversations showing her growing distance. Photos of the apartment as she left it. Records of our joint account and shared expenses. If she wanted to play games, I'd be ready with receipts. By day 2, I was settling into a routine that didn't revolve around her moods or her constant need for validation. I worked out, caught up with friends I'd been neglecting, and actually enjoyed coming home to my own space. But then came the social media post that changed everything. I wasn't stalking her accounts. I'm not that pathetic. But when my buddy Jake sent me a screenshot with a message that read, "Dude, you need to see this," I knew the 2-week break had just become something else entirely. There she was. Bright smile, new outfit I'd never seen, coffee cup in hand at some trendy cafe. The caption read, "Sometimes the best therapy is a good conversation, #NewPerspectives, #choosing me." But it was the details that told the real story. A male hand visible in the frame, holding another coffee cup. The geotag showing a location 40 minutes from where her cousin supposedly lived. And the timestamp, posted 6 hours ago, on day 2 of our supposed reflection period. Most men would have felt devastated, betrayed, maybe even surprised. Me? I felt something much more dangerous. I felt clarity. Crystal clear, laser-focused clarity about exactly who I'd been dating and exactly what kind of game she'd been playing. Jake's next message came through. "There are more. She's been posting all day." I scrolled through the evidence methodically. Coffee shop selfie with mystery man's hand at 9 a.m. Shopping bags and intertwined fingers at noon. The timeline of an entire date, documented like a relationship announcement. She wasn't finding herself. She was introducing her replacement. I set the phone down and walked to the kitchen, my mind working through the implications. She hadn't asked for a break to think about our relationship. She'd asked for a break to transition publicly from one relationship to another without looking like the cheater she actually was. 2 weeks wasn't her timeline for reflection. It was her timeline for introducing her new boyfriend to the world while maintaining plausible deniability. We were on a break, would be her defense when people started asking questions. Smart, calculated, and absolutely ruthless. But here's what she didn't count on. I'm not the kind of man who gets played without playing back. I opened my laptop and began my own research. Social media is a gold mine when people get careless with their privacy settings. Within 30 minutes, I had a complete profile on Mr. Coffee Date. His name was Tyler Harrison, marketing director at some tech startup. Recently divorced with a pattern of overlapping relationships that his ex-wife had documented quite thoroughly in their very public divorce proceedings. My girlfriend had excellent taste. She'd found someone exactly like herself. The more I dug, the clearer the picture became. They'd been talking for weeks, maybe months. Those late nights she blamed on work deadlines weren't about spreadsheets. Those mysterious errands weren't grocery runs. The cousin downtown wasn't just providing a place to stay. She was providing cover for an affair. By midnight, I had everything I needed to destroy her carefully crafted narrative. Screenshots, timestamps, even a few photos from his social media that showed them at the same locations weeks before our break officially started. But revenge through exposure felt too easy, too predictable. Instead, I decided to let her dig her own grave. The discovery that really sealed it came from Tyler's ex-wife's blog. She had documented everything during their divorce. Every lie, every overlapping relationship, every time he'd used the same playbook. There was even a post titled, "When he says his marriage is already over." The patterns were identical. The language Tyler used, the timeline he created, even the coffee shop he took his targets to. It was all there. I sent an anonymous message to her through Instagram, just a link to the blog post with a single line. Thought you should know who you're dealing with. Someone who cares. I watched her Instagram story views the next day. She'd seen it. But she posted another photo with Tyler anyway. This one at an art gallery, both of them pretending to appreciate modern art. The caption talked about exploring new perspectives with someone who values growth. The comments were getting interesting though. Her college roommate wrote, "Didn't you just say last week you needed alone time?" Someone else, "This is moving pretty fast for someone who needed space to think." Her aunt simply posted, "The cracks were showing." The next morning brought fresh content. Beach sunrise photos at 6 a.m., breakfast for 2 by 9, even a picture of them holding hands while walking a dog. Each post dug deeper into her lie. Each caption became more elaborate about her journey of self-discovery. But the best part was watching the reactions from people who actually knew us. Former colleagues, mutual friends, even some of her family members were starting to ask careful questions in the comments. The timeline wasn't adding up, and people weren't stupid. By day 3, I had documentation spread across my dining table, backup files on 3 different devices, and a plan that would make her 2-week timeline completely irrelevant. She wanted to control the narrative. Fine. But narratives only work when you control all the characters. And she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I still had access to everything. Joint accounts, shared lease, and most importantly, the apartment where all her remaining belongings were currently stored. Everything she'd left behind in her rush to start her new life. Everything she'd have to return eventually to collect. Everything that was about to become the stage for the most public reality check of her life. I started in the bedroom, methodically going through what she'd abandoned. Designer clothes she'd bought with our joint credit card. Jewelry I'd given her for birthdays and anniversaries. Photo albums from our relationship that she'd obviously forgotten existed. Everything went into boxes. Neat, organized, carefully labeled boxes. But I wasn't packing for storage. I was packing for display. Day 4 brought the moment everything changed. I was at work when my phone buzzed with a message from Connor, one of our mutual friends from our main friend group. The group had about 18 people, mostly college friends and coworkers who'd become close over the years. "You need to see this," Connor's message read. I don't even know how to explain it. He sent me a screenshot of our group chat. The chat was called Planning Committee because we used it to coordinate dinners, game nights, and weekend trips. Everyone was in it. Her friends, my friends, mutual friends. It was the social hub of our entire circle, and she'd just posted something in it. Something that was very clearly not meant for that chat. The message read, "Baby, I can't believe we pulled it off. Everyone thinks I'm being brave and finding myself. 2 more weeks of this charade, and then we can go public for real. You bought the whole I need space thing completely. Such a relief to finally be with someone who actually gets me. Can't wait for you to meet everyone properly. They're going to love us together. P.S. Thanks for the Skybar idea. Posting that pic was perfect." Attached was a selfie of her kissing Tyler. My phone started exploding with notifications as the group chat erupted. I watched in real time as 18 people processed what they'd just seen. Connor, what the actual heck? Jake, is this real? Her best friend Amber, please tell me this is a joke. My college roommate, bro, are you seeing this? The messages came in rapid fire, shock and anger mixing with confusion. Some people defending her at first, saying maybe there was an explanation. Most people immediately recognizing exactly what they were looking at. Then, 3 minutes after the original post, the message disappeared. Deleted. She'd realized her mistake. She'd meant to send that to Tyler privately, but had posted it to our entire friend group instead. The worst possible audience for her confession. A new message appeared, clearly her in damage control mode. OMG, wrong chat. That was for my book club talking about a plot. So embarrassing. Just a creative writing exercise. Nobody was buying it. The damage was done. The selfie had been seen. The timeline had been exposed. The word charade hung in the digital air like evidence at a crime scene. Connor messaged me privately. "Dude, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do?" I typed back slowly, deliberately. Exactly what she asked for. I'm giving her space. All the space she needs. That evening, I finalized my plan. Everything she'd left behind was getting packed. Not destroyed, not damaged, just removed. Every piece of clothing, every decoration she'd chosen, every item that represented her presence in my life. All of it was going into clear plastic storage containers. I worked through the night, methodical and precise. Each box labeled by category. Clothing, accessories, kitchen items, sentimental pieces. Her yoga equipment, including the Peloton bike she'd used exactly twice. Everything organized better than she'd ever kept it herself. By 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning, I had everything staged on the covered front porch. Clear plastic containers stacked neatly, each one labeled and visible. A heavy-duty tarp underneath protecting everything from weather. Her Peloton positioned prominently. Small decorative items arranged almost artistically. And the sign. Professional, laminated, weatherproof. Free TO good home. Items left behind by former resident who moved out to find herself. Please take what you need. Everything must go by end of week. Below in smaller text. Note. All personal belongings carefully packed and preserved. No items damaged. Just creating the space that was requested. I positioned my Ring doorbell camera to capture the whole display, then went inside to shower and get ready for work. By the time I left at 7:30, neighbors were already slowing down to look. Mrs. Patterson from 3 doors down asked if I was having a yard sale. Something like that. I replied, "Feel free to take whatever you'd like." By 9 a.m., Amber had driven past and posted photos to her Instagram story with the caption, "Well, this is happening." She tagged our street location. The group chat reactivated. "Amber, you guys," he put all her stuff on the front lawn. Connor, saw the photos. It's actually pretty organized. Jake, is that a free sign? Someone else. The receipts are literally printed out and laminated on top of one box. Another person. This is what happens when you accidentally text the group chat. My phone started buzzing with her calls around 10. I let them all go to voicemail. Her texts came in rapid succession. "What the heck? You put my stuff outside? This is illegal. I'm calling the police." I waited 2 hours before responding with a single text. "You asked for space. I'm providing it. Everything is weather protected and undamaged. You have until Friday to collect your belongings. After that, I'm donating what remains per landlord recommendation for abandoned property." Her response was immediate. "Abandoned? I've been gone 4 days." My reply, "You said 2 weeks minimum. You moved out. Lease is in my name only. Legally, you're a former guest. Check with your lawyer if you'd like. Everything is handled properly." By noon, Tyler showed up. I watched from the window as he uncomfortably loaded boxes into his BMW while neighbors observed. It took him 4 trips. A kid from down the street helped him load the Peloton, and Tyler tipped him $20. On his 4th trip, Tyler knocked on my door. I answered. "Look, man, I don't want any trouble," he started. "Then you shouldn't have pursued someone else's girlfriend," I replied calmly. "But that's between you two now. She said you guys were basically over." "Interesting. When did she say that?" "Like, 6 weeks ago." 6 weeks. And we just separated 4 days ago. Math isn't adding up, is it? I watched realization dawn on his face. He'd been lied to as well. "You might want to ask yourself what else she's been lying about," I said. "Have a good one." I closed the door. The neighborhood Facebook group discovered the photos by afternoon. The story spread beyond our immediate circle. Her Instagram went private. Tyler's went private. Too late. Screenshots live forever. That evening, she showed up at my door. Alone. Hair in a messy bun. No makeup, wearing sweatpants. A stark contrast to her recent glamorous posts. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. "We need to talk." I stepped aside and let her enter. The apartment looked different. More spacious without her clutter. She noticed immediately. "What you did was cruel and public and completely unnecessary," she said, trying to control the conversation. "What I did was respect your request for space. You wanted separation. I provided it. By humiliating me in front of everyone we know. I put your belongings on private property, properly stored and labeled. You're the one who made it public by accidentally texting our entire friend group about your charade." She flinched at that word. "That was taken out of context." What context makes 2 more weeks of this charade mean something other than exactly what it says? It's not what you think. "Tyler and I have been dating for at least 6 weeks while you were still in my bed," I interrupted. "While you were using our joint account to pay for dates with him. While you were planning your brave journey of self-discovery that was actually just PR for your affair." Silence filled the room. She tried a different angle. "You went through our bank statements? That's a violation of privacy." I almost laughed. "It's a joint account. My name is on it. There's no violation. But I love how that's your concern. Not the lying, not the cheating, not the public humiliation you caused yourself. You're worried about me seeing the $300 charge at Skybar." "That was our money," I finished. "You took our money to romance him. You bought that new dress I saw in the photos with our joint credit card. You got your hair done at that expensive salon using our account. You literally funded your affair with my resources." Her face went red. "I was going to pay you back." "With what? Your half of the joint account you've been draining? Or maybe Tyler was going to reimburse me for the cost of his courtship." "You're being petty. I'm being accurate. There's a difference." She stood up, pacing now. "Fine. You want to talk about money? Let's talk about money. That couch. I helped pay for it. The TV? I paid half. The dishes, the furniture, Actually," I interrupted, pulling out my phone. "I have all the receipts. The couch? I bought it 2 years before you moved in. The TV? Christmas gift from my parents. The dishes? Wedding gift to me from my sister when I got this place. You want to itemize contributions? We can do that. But you won't like how that math works out." She stared at me. "When did you become so cold?" "Around the same time you started sleeping with Tyler. Funny how betrayal has that effect." She gasped. I'd never been that blunt before, never used that language with her. But the time for gentle conversations was over. "Don't talk to me like that," she said, voice shaking. "Like what? Honestly, you can post about your truth and authenticity all over social media, but you can't handle actual truth in private? That's the problem. You want the aesthetic of honesty without any of the discomfort that comes with it." "I came here to apologize, to try to fix things." "No," I cut her off. "You came here because Tyler's been distant since he saw the front yard display. You came here because the group chat incident killed your reputation. You came here because your backup plan isn't working out. This isn't about fixing us. This is about fixing your situation." Her eyes welled up. "That's not fair." "What's not fair is spending 2 months planning your exit while I'm making dinner plans for our anniversary. What's not fair is using our friend group as props in your self-discovery theater. What's not fair is me finding out about your new relationship from Instagram instead of from you." "I never meant to hurt you," she said, tears forming. "Things just happened." "Things didn't happen. You made choices. Calculated, deliberate choices. The only thing that just happened was you forgetting which text thread you were in. Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes are singular. You constructed an entire narrative. You enlisted your friends to support your brave choice. You documented your romance with him while pretending you were in solitude. That's not a mistake. That's a campaign. She switched tactics, anger returning. You don't get to judge me. You don't know what it's been like. Then enlighten me. What was it like? Was it hard pretending to love me while auditioning my replacement? Was it exhausting keeping your story straight? We've had problems for months. You've been distant. Name one time. Give me one specific example. She stammered. You worked late all those nights. I worked the same hours I've always worked. You're projecting. You were the one staying out late. You were the one glued to your phone. Don't rewrite history because you don't like the ending. She sat back down heavily. I don't even know why I came here. You've already made up your mind about everything. I made up my mind when I saw you kissing another man in a photo you accidentally sent to 18 of our closest friends. That's when certainty happened. Everything after that has just been confirming what I already knew. People can change, she said quietly. People can make mistakes and learn from them. Sure they can, but you didn't make a mistake. You made a series of calculated choices over several weeks, maybe months. Each one was a decision. Each one was a betrayal. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. So there's nothing I can say? No way to make this right. I looked at her for a long moment. You could start by being honest. Not honest to manipulate me back. Just honest for once. Tell me the truth. When did it start with Tyler? When did you decide we were over? When did you start planning your exit? She looked away. I don't know. It wasn't one moment. Try. She took a deep breath. The networking event. 8 weeks ago. We talked for hours. He was funny and charming, and he listened to me. Actually listened. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a while. Excitement. Yes. Excitement. Is that so wrong? To want to feel excited again? Excitement isn't wrong. Lying is. Cheating is. If you wanted excitement, you could have talked to me. Suggested we try new things. Been honest about what you needed. Instead, you pursued someone else while pretending everything was fine with us. I didn't know how to tell you. You didn't want to tell me. There's a difference. You wanted to have both. The security of our relationship while you explored the excitement of something new. And when you were ready to jump ship, you created this whole I need space narrative so you could transition smoothly. She wiped her eyes. You're right. About all of it. I was a coward. I am a coward. I wanted the easy way out. Well, you didn't get it. That accidental text made sure of that. God, that was such a stupid mistake. I was lying in bed next to him, feeling so relieved that I'd finally made the break, and I wanted to tell him how happy I was. I pulled up my messages and just started typing. I didn't even look at who I was sending it to. The universe has a sense of humor like that. She almost smiled, then caught herself. Everyone hates me now. The group chat has been dead silent except for the people messaging me privately to tell me I'm a terrible person. Amber won't return my calls. Even my cousin is being weird about me staying there. Consequences. I know. I know. She stood up again. I should go? I don't know what I expected. Forgiveness? Understanding? Maybe you expected me to be the same pushover I was for the last few months. The guy who noticed something was wrong but convinced himself he was imagining things. The guy who made excuses for your behavior because he didn't want to face reality. You weren't a pushover. I was. But I'm not anymore. And that's the only good thing that came out of this. I learned what I'm worth. And it's more than being someone's backup plan. What do you want from me? She asked desperately. An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. I don't need anything from you. That's the point. I spent months trying to figure out what was wrong, trying to fix whatever I thought I'd broken. Turns out nothing was broken. You were just shopping for an upgrade. It's not like that with Tyler. It's exactly like that. And it will be exactly like that with whoever comes after Tyler. Because the problem isn't me. It's not even him. It's you. Tyler is different. He understands me. Tyler is divorced because he cheated on his wife with a coworker. You can Google it. Public record. He understands you because you're the same kind of person. Her face went pale. She hadn't known. You wanted to leave. Leave. You wanted space. Take it. You wanted a new beginning. Begin. But don't come back here trying to make me the villain in your story. You wrote this script yourself. She broke down completely. Everything's a mess. The group chat thing, everyone's been weird with me. My family is asking questions. Tyler's been distant since he picked up my stuff. Consequences, I said simply. They tend to follow actions. Maybe we could try again? Counseling or something. We have history. 5 years isn't nothing. You're right. 5 years isn't nothing. That's 5 years of my life I invested in someone who was willing to throw it away for a 2-month fling. No amount of counseling fixes that. So this is just over? This was over the moment you chose to cheat instead of communicate. I'm just the last one to get the memo. She stood, defeated. I loved you. I really did. Maybe you did. But you loved the idea of something else more. And now you get to find out if it was worth it. She walked to the door and paused. For what it's worth, I am sorry. Not just about getting caught. About all of it. That's between you and your mirror, I replied. I'm done being your audience. She left. This time it felt final. 3 months later, I ran into her at Target. She was alone, looking smaller somehow. The confidence she'd borrowed from her affair had expired along with the relationship. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by practical outfits suggesting someone living on a single income. She saw me first, freezing in the checkout aisle like she'd been caught stealing. I nodded politely and continued shopping. You look good, she said as I passed. Thank you. I replied, not returning the compliment. How have you been? Excellent. You? She glanced at her cart, filled with generic brands. Getting by. Getting by. The phrase said everything she couldn't. Tyler had turned out to be a predictable disappointment. The downtown cousin had tired of providing cover. The family members who'd bought into her victim narrative had quietly backed away once the truth came out. I heard you're dating someone new, she said, fishing for information. I'm living my life, I corrected. That's what free people do. A pause. She was building up to something. Tyler and I broke up, she finally admitted. About 6 weeks after. Everything. I know. Her head snapped up. How? Mutual friends. People talk. Right? Of course they do. She laughed bitterly. Turns out he was texting his ex-wife the whole time we were together. She sent me screenshots. Apparently, I was just the latest in a long line of women he uses to make her jealous. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. You tried to warn me, didn't you? That day when you talked to him outside. I suggested he examine what he was getting into. What he did with that information was his choice. I should have listened. To you, to everyone. I thought I knew better. Thought I was special, different, that he really understood me. She shook her head. I threw away 5 years for a guy who was running the same game on 3 different women. That must have been difficult to discover. You're being nice about it. You could say I told you so. You'd have earned it. I don't need to say it. You're living it. She shifted her weight, uncomfortable. The group hasn't invited me to anything in months. I see the photos from game nights, dinners, trips. Everyone's still hanging out. Just without me. Actions have consequences. I know. I just thought. I don't know what I thought. That people would forgive me? That it would blow over? You didn't just hurt me. You lied to all of them too. You made them props in your deception. People don't forget that easily. I want you to know I'm sorry. For how everything happened. For the timing, for the lies, for all of it. I studied her face. I believe you're sorry. Sorry it didn't work out the way you planned. That's not what I meant. It's what you said 3 months ago when you thought you had a better option. Now that you don't, you're sorry about the method, not the choice. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. The thing is, I continued, I'm not sorry. Not anymore. You did me a favor by showing me exactly who you were before I wasted more years finding out the hard way. I really did love you, you know. That wasn't fake. Maybe. But love without respect is just dependency. And love without honesty is just a comfortable lie. Whatever you felt, it wasn't enough to treat me with basic decency. Do you think? She hesitated. Do you think there was ever a chance we could have worked through it? If I'd just been honest from the start? I considered the question seriously. Maybe. If you'd come to me and said you were feeling disconnected, that you'd met someone who excited you, that you needed to figure out what you really wanted. If you'd been brave enough to have that conversation, maybe we could have either fixed it or ended it with dignity. But you weren't brave. You were calculating. And that's not something counseling fixes. I wasn't trying to hurt you. You were trying to avoid discomfort. My hurt was just acceptable collateral damage in your pursuit of an easy transition. That's somehow worse than intentional cruelty. At least cruelty is honest. She absorbed that in silence. I moved back home with my parents last month, she said quietly. The cousin thing wasn't working out. My mom keeps asking me what happened, why I threw away a good relationship. I don't know what to tell her. Tell her the truth, that you made a mistake, that you chose excitement over stability and it didn't work out, that you're learning from it. Are you learning from it? From us? Every day, I'm learning that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I'm learning that love isn't enough without trust. I'm learning that my instincts were right even when I tried to ignore them. Mostly, I'm learning that I deserve better than what you gave me. You do, she said softly. You really do. I hope she knows how lucky she is. This new person you're seeing. She does. Because I tell her. And she tells me. We don't play games. We don't create mysteries. We're just honest. It's remarkably simple. That sounds nice. It is. I moved past her toward the checkout, then paused. By the way, your 2-week break ended up lasting exactly as long as your relationship with him. Funny how that worked out. That evening, I met friends at a restaurant downtown. Different energy, different company. These were people who knew my worth without needing constant proof. You seem different, Connor observed. More relaxed. I am relaxed, I replied. Turns out life gets easier when you stop trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. My phone buzzed with a text from the woman I'd been seeing for the past month. Nothing dramatic, just a simple, hope you're having fun with your friends. That's what healthy people do. They communicate without drama, show interest without desperation, and build relationships instead of staging them for social media. Later that night, I sat on my back deck looking at the space where her exercise equipment used to clutter the patio. The yard looked bigger now, more organized, like everything else in my life. My phone showed 3 missed calls from an unknown number. Probably her, trying to continue the grocery store conversation. I deleted the notifications without listening. Some conversations don't deserve to be finished. The house was quiet, but not empty. Quiet by choice rather than abandonment. The difference between solitude and loneliness is control. Choosing your own company versus having it chosen for you. 6 months from now, she'd probably try to reconnect again. Maybe during the holidays. Maybe on our former anniversary. Maybe just when the consequences of her choices felt too heavy to carry alone. But bridges, once burned, don't rebuild themselves. And some destinations aren't worth the return trip. I finished my beer and went inside, locking the door behind me. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities, new experiences, new people who understood that respect isn't negotiable and trust isn't renewable. Tonight, I was exactly where I belonged. In my own space, on my own terms, answerable only to someone who had earned the right to my consideration. That person was me. And for the first time in years, that felt like enough.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.